Good morning, everybody. This is Northwest UFO Chaser Commander Gregory M Voles up here in the Northwest. And yes, I'm still active deep state commander. Gregory M Voles, United States Naval Reserve, Naval Operations, UDT. But I work contracts. Uh, Went back to school, became a paralegal, then became an attorney, then went to work in the Judge Advocate General's office for a while, then got a contract to work amicus curiae contracts writing briefs. But basically, I report inside the Pentagon on a secret contract to a law firm in Washington, D.C. And some of you may know some of the law firm names, Dunn, Gibson, Olson, Dunn, and Gibson. Ted Olson out of Palo Alto was a friend of mine. We studied together in law school type thing. There's a lot going on in the world in the sense that I am a constitutional person and a big supporter of Donald J. Trump. And I see things a little bit differently than Judge Napolitano on Fox. I believe that there was no crime committed by Michael Cohen, and he was forced to plead guilty to two elements of things that were crime that are going to be overturned on appeal at either the federal circuit court level on appeal, or it'll go all the way to the Supreme Court and get turned over on appeal. But I think we need to look at the Alford plea precedent and apply that. And there needs to be substantive issue and opinion rendered, and it could be rendered in advance by some of the Supreme Court justices. But we have a problem with Michael Cohen, a federal attorney, pleading guilty to two campaign finance violations that are not actually crimes. And further, Robert Mueller is conflicted with Lisa H. Barsoomian, who is the wife of Rod Rosenstein. And there's a connection in and amongst Lisa H. Barsoomian being an attorney, but she's also got CIA credentials, and so does Nellie Orr, the wife of Bruce Orr. So we know that they're conducting some type of a CIA operation. Now, this is what makes both the Republicans and the Democrats complicit, because we know that the Clinton Foundation would utilize the running of CIA operations to mask some of the financial transactions that end up being espionage tied to Michael Steele and the espionage investigation that the Department of Defense, NCIS, had to do in order to determine whether the Russians or any other entity had infiltrated our governmental systems. And that was basically what Robert Mueller was tasked with as a counterintelligence operation. But in my opinion, with Halper and Steele both being MI agents, and the Royal Society directing those MI agents, and them working in coordination with CIA and their operations, and that draws in Lisa H. Barsoomian and Nellie Orr of the United States. And then we, the people out here who have nothing to do with anything, see the transparency of what is potentially taking place. And I mean, it's awful confusing unless Donald Trump is running some kind of an operation to keep us sidetracked. Now, I'd like to raise another issue, that makes sense, but people need to think about it quite a bit. NBC Universal has a board of directors, and this message that Donald Trump has committed a crime because of a campaign finance violation, and they just come out and blatantly call the sitting president a criminal, is actually libel. And that libel can be sued. And I don't understand these things because the board of directors for NBC Universal needs to understand that they should be sued by Donald J. Trump now as a sitting president. Because he has committed no crime and he didn't direct anybody to commit a crime. And the person that did, Michael Cohen, he pled guilty to elements that are not crimes, which can be overturned on appeal. So this is getting extremely serious, and I don't understand why the Federal Circuit Judiciary isn't looking at this or putting somebody that actually understands the law. I'm a disabled war veteran who went back to school as a paralegal, and I'm talking about some of, I know that I understand by shepherdizing case precedent, and I understand table of authority in an amicus curiae brief that goes before the judiciary so they can render opinion and then ask questions of solicitor generals like Ted Olson. Okay? But, legal staff members constantly parse judges and federal judges in particular. So I believe that we need to address these issues immediately because I believe that they are in the national security interest of the United States of America. And I would like to state that there's that other piece in here with the out of control CIA operations and the contracts that were put together, like this solar radiation management that Boeing or Raytheon or Lockheed Martin or whoever's doing it, it's out of control. They're delivering, products, barium, and they're causing great harm to human beings and health effects in the elderly and the disabled, me in particular, okay? I've got plenty of evidence, and it's gone up on the United States Congress House Congressional server. So Devin Nunes and Jim Jordan and Kevin McCarthy and all of them have been notified, all right? They need to look into that in Congress. Further, I believe that Burning Man is going to hook up with the caravan, and they're going to try to burn the wall down, okay? That is their attempt and goal at this migration. But I don't understand why the President of the United States doesn't utilize the 8,000 migrants to a positive benefit and offer them asylum by putting them into national service immediately. And so they would sign a contract, go into national service, and they could go anywhere in the world that we have operations, and they can then get their citizenship. That way, we automatically are able to tax them by giving them a paycheck in their national service regard, but they get their citizenship of the United States upon coming out, and we've utilized it as a good, positive thing. So I hope that some of you agree with me on some of these issues and the way that we are looking at some of these things. Jump on the Trump train. Northwest UFO chasers, and that's acardworld.blogspot.com. And I would appreciate likes, comments, conjecture. We're also seeking female help at the store and in Westport, Washington at the beach. We have a bed and breakfast that is open for unique experience to couples or anybody that would like to contact us. And again, A Card World, ACARDWORLD, period, blogspot.com. And that will get you to an index of articles that I have written, conjecture, and we are desperate to get some comments from some people that actually have some intellectuality and that actually think. Some of these subjects and topics are extremely deep that we go into. We're talking about, the bird symbolizing the power over, and then, or excuse me, the snake symbolizing the power over, and then the bird flight. So we have the snake with the power over and the bird of flight. So we have the power over flight. But when you put the sun on top of that, then you get the power over flight because you have the bird and the snake, but you've got the sun, so that's space. So you have the power over space flight, and that's all on ISIS headdress. And I mean, this is a CIA operation to name something ISIS, okay, to keep you confused so that you don't understand that there are 3 constellations: the Hand of God constellation, the Tree of Life constellation, and the Triangulum constellation. And the Triangulum constellation is basically 3 stars that make up the names Anu, God Almighty, Enlil, Enkai, Elohim, and then the third one, Yahweh, Jesus. Hebrew, there is no J, Yahweh. Okay. Anyway, that sounds funny. Hebrew is read from left to right, or excuse me, from right to left, And that's what they talk about when they talk about scrambling the languages, okay? And they took their culture, the Jews, ancient Jews, from 2 sources, Egypt and Sumeria. And if the advanced technology of Egypt was capable of space flight and the genetic modification of DNA and creating giants in Egypt, and we have actual proof and evidence, then I think the game changes a little bit. And Knowledge of the Forever Time by Damon T. Berry lays it all out. And again, acardworld.blogspot.com will get you to an index, and you'll see Knowledge of the Forever Time. And I highly recommend that. That's probably one of the free video series that's available out there that will keep you, excited to learn new stuff in the wintertime type thing. But this is the kind of information that modern academia doesn't want you to know. But it has raised a very philosophical question. And that philosophical question becomes, we have 2 ancient cultures and civilizations that have lived and died through a 26,000 year cycle, and that's the elliptical cycle of the earth around the sun. Okay? Takes about 26,000 some odd. We can, and there's all those calculations are built into the pyramid. 25-ton blocks each, 2.5 million blocks, 2.5 sun light years away to Triangulum. That points to the Hand of God constellation and the Tree of Life constellation, which is where your DNA is from. Okay, and that's what the Bible talks about, and those are the books of Enoch. There's 2 types. There's Gnosticism and there's Coptic. So I won't go into all the details, but I'm saying Jesus Christ knew and was a space traveler. He traveled 2.5, light years So will you, because your body is nothing but a spiritual being inside of a spacesuit, your body on Earth. But your spirit can be implanted in different vessels, obviously, and you're from some source, which you will return to upon death. But that source, we believe to be God, and we believe that to be in the Hand of God constellation, 2.5 sun or light years away, as shown by the pyramid on Earth. All right. A lot of it seems like it's complex, but again, we were given a gift by the advanced intelligence of God, and that's known as biology. And what we found is that in the desert, when we grow a certain plant, it produces an oil that repels salt. And that's the key. By planting this one plant, we begin to repel the salt down. We bring the biodiversity up onto planet Earth and we begin to green it. And we can actually save our atmosphere. But what we don't know is if we're too late, because this is the message that the UFOs have been coming out of the sun, flashing their constellation like Sirius, Cygnus, Hand of God, Triangulum, and the universe is teeming with light. But they come out of this square in the sun and they emit their constellation coordinates. They're not controlled by some little green guy. It's artificial intelligence that's working with massively huge computer systems that are based on networks in huge frequency ranges, like 432 megahertz is one of the frequencies embedded within the sun that's a communication directly back to the Hand of God constellation. And if we look back, we're looking back 5,000 years ago, okay? But that's what makes it a 2.5. 2.5 is 5,000. 2,500 years one way, 2,500 years back, okay? And we got two ancient cultures and civilizations. One was the Neanderthal, and they put cave paintings up because they also had a satellite, and they were advanced technology. And we know that by looking at their paintings on the ceiling, but we overlaid satellite images and came to a stark conclusion that that's what happened. Then the Egyptians had it too, because ISIS has space flight. So they were more advanced than us. We're the third 26,000 year period of culture and civilization. And they're trying to get a message to us to advance to the state of understanding, to come and join God 2.5 light years away in Andromeda heaven. And I'm not an Andromedan organization down in Los Angeles or anything, okay? This is just common sense stuff that we put together in the Department of Defense, NCIS investigative unit, okay? And we're not trying to keep anything a secret. And, the responsibility of the Department of Defense, the reservists and the retired, is the protection of their own United States, their own property, listen to Admiral McRaven, Bill McRaven, okay, sometime. And I would like to select Bill McRaven for Chief of Staff, and I hope all the rest of you would give Bill McRaven a chance to be chief. Anyway, Northwest UFO Chasers, cardworld.blogspot.com. Please comment, like, subscribe. We really appreciate it. Have a good day.